Bang! All right, it's Kristen Steps here with Zap Diabetes. It made a video a couple weeks ago alluding to changes I've made in my life, and I thought I would start going over those with you. I've had some issues, some things happen health-wise that have caused for change. So I've had weight problem most of my life. I did lose weight a couple times and gained it back. Some of you probably have experienced the same thing. Type 1 diabetic, which most of you are probably clicking on this video because you're looking for information on type 1 diabetes, or you are type 1 diabetic. Celiac disease, so I can't have gluten, things like that. Makes me really ill, and it causes a lot of digestion problems. And I've had a few instances here of some health scares. I went to the ER once about 2 years ago. I had difficulty breathing. My heart rate was really high, and so I went to the ER, and I was worried I was having a heart attack since my heart was racing. I had difficulty breathing, general chest pain, that kind of thing. And they ended up telling me I had really high blood pressure, like 199/90, something like that. And you think that'd be enough to scare me, change my life, do something about it, drinking 10 Diet Cokes a day or 6 Diet Cokes a day or however many Diet Cokes it was. Generally eating a lot of things that, aren't too good, like even though I'm gluten-free, I'd go to like Wendy's and get a double burger with no bun, baked potato with sour cream, extra butter, that type of thing, wash it down with a big, huge Diet Coke. Of course, I had the Diet Coke because I didn't want my sugar to get too high, but I'm sure it'd have been regular Coke otherwise. And then after that happened, about 8 months later, it happened again, and I went and had high blood pressure, difficulty breathing, and I just told them, it's not my heart, I've had my heart check, it's good. Had a stress test, it's good. I think it's my blood pressure, and of course it was. So, had 2 of those visits. Was checked out for sleep apnea finally. Finally got motivated after waking up with racing heartbeat or waking up gasping for air, that kind of thing. And I think that's what finally put me over the edge, because I had that CPAP on that, and you put it on your nose, and it just feels like you're like in the hospital on a breathing machine, and it's uncomfortable. I hate it, and I'm like, I need to do something. This is getting really, really bad. And not only that, but I'd like wake up in the morning and I'd be in a lot of pain. My body was in pain. I was slow. I had no energy. I always like, woe's me. I should call in sick. I never called in sick, but like, I just was not good. I was just functioning barely to just stay alive and maybe eventually die, which was not good. Now, granted, I'm taking care of my family, my kids, my dog, all those good things. And those things going fine. But myself, I wasn't taking care of myself. So I tried, lots of things over the years, and, some of these, 5, 6, 7 years. And I'm going to show you these books here. I have a stack of books of things that I went to read to try to help myself. The first one I got here is the Tom Brady Method. Tom Brady Method. Now, Tom Brady, he's, the great thing about Tom Brady, I mean, he's very successful. He's a proven athlete. He looks good. He looks healthy. He is. He's won like 6 Super Bowls. In that case, you think, oh, really successful. I should listen to this guy's advice. But the problem with that is that it's overwhelming. You're like, I'm not this god of a fitness guru. I'm not a supermodel. I'm not a 6-time Super Bowl MVP. And so when you start reading this stuff, it kind of goes over your head. And you're like, this is just impossible. And you read his diet and all that, and you think this is just impossible. Well, I can tell you, his diet's not really impossible. You could do it. But if you start here and you don't relate fully to that, it doesn't work. It won't catch on for you. You won't see it as a viable option. Now that I'm doing what I'm doing, I look back and I read it and go, wow, I'm doing all this stuff just with a different program. And it's just like, wow, it didn't click then, but now it clicks. Next one is, because I'm type 1 diabetic, and a lot of you may know this book. This is Dr. Bernstein's Diabetes Solution. This book is a fantastic book, and it's a must-read for any type 1 diabetic. But what Dr. Bernstein believes is that you should eat like very, very low carbs, because when you eat the carbs, it spikes your blood sugar. And if you're somebody, whether you're type 1 diabetic or type 2 diabetic, or you're not diabetic at all, and you start reading, I'm not supposed to eat any carbs, I'm going to eat a bunch of lettuce leaves, maybe on Friday I'll eat a cheeseburger without any bun, that sounds good, but like, it seems unrealistic and overwhelming if that's where you just start and you go, okay, I'm going from here, and I'm going way up here really, really fast, and I'm just going to change everything completely. And so I find it, if you just go buy a book and you read and you look at this guy who's got this perfect blood sugar, he's like, my blood sugar is always 80 and it's perfect and all those things, it's overwhelming. But everything in his book, I find a lot of it very accurate. I do disagree with some of the stuff. Like I don't eat cheeseburgers anymore. I don't eat red meat. I think there's some really important fruits and things like that have carbohydrate that I really think are beneficial to my body. And so there's ways around that and eating that and giving myself the proper insulin and planning for that. The next thing I tried, I was talking to one of my friends, and he's like, I'm on this plant-based diet, and it's wonderful, and it makes you feel better, and all this good stuff, and recommended Thug Kitchen. I got another one here. This is Thug Kitchen Party Grub, and everything in here completely vegan. And if it has gluten in it, you could obviously change it to be gluten-free. I don't remember if it's gluten-free or not. It's been a while since I've used this, but like, it's really cool. It's got all these awesome pictures of the meals, the recipes, that kind of thing. And they kind of curse in it, and that's kind of like its selling point. Thug Kitchen, eat like you give a, so it's a #1 New York Times bestseller. And I made a couple recipes on this a couple years ago, and they were good. But it was it was expensive to get the food. I remember that. And they were really good. But for me to at that time, to go through like an hour or two of what seemed like food prep every single meal just seemed ridiculous and impossible for me. And so therefore this way of just changing my diet based on this cookbook did not work. Now that I am doing something, I think I'm going to revisit some of the recipes in this guy. And I think it'll be valuable. I think it'll be a tool. And that's what I'm kind of noticing with all these books. Now that I have a plan and now that I made changes, these books that I just went through, I think will make a better difference in my life. I just don't know if they were a good starting point for me. And so what happened for me is I was looking for change. We just talked about how I was looking for change. I've had a couple health scares. I felt unhealthy, like I could die in the next 5 to 10 years, that life was difficult. It's hard to get up in the morning. I'm in a lot of pain. I have digestive problems. Not getting the nutrition I need, obviously. But anyway, so the day after, well, actually, I should say this. It's Thanksgiving Day. We celebrate Thanksgiving at my family's house with the kids in the early afternoon, in the morning, and then towards the end of the afternoon, we go to or I take them to my ex's mother's house, and her name is Heather. She's really awesome, and I was there for Thanksgiving, and I ended up sitting out in the garage, and I was looking at YouTube, and something came to mind. I drive around for work, so I go to all these places, house to house all over town, and sometimes my drives are like 45 minutes, an hour apart, and so I listen to a lot of podcasts because I want some banter. I don't always want to listen to music when I'm driving. Sometimes I do, but I really enjoy listening to podcasts, and so one of my go-to podcasts is Talk is Jericho, because I'm a wrestling fan, and Chris Jericho has always been my favorite because I used to watch him in WCW back when he had Ralphus, I think his name was, as his escort, his bodyguard or whatever. And so I've always been a Chris Jericho fan. And so I'm listening to his podcast, and he's always advertising for Diamond Dallas Page Yoga, DDP Yoga, or DDPY. And I've heard about it before. Obviously I've seen Diamond Dallas Page on when he was on WWE programming. I saw him on that wearing his DDP Yoga shirt, and I've seen a few videos online, and I would think, yoga, ew, I hate yoga, I want nothing to do with yoga, my ex really liked yoga, I've gone to couples yoga, I hated it. It was a miserable experience. I want nothing to do with yoga. And so it never occurred to me to do it. But, Chris Jericho kept saying, hey, DDPY. And I'm looking for an answer. I'm just looking for an answer. I don't care what it is. I'm desperate. I'm going to the hospital for insane blood pressure. I'm worried I'm going to, die. I've got this terrible sleep apnea. My blood sugars are out of control. I need to do something. I'm too big. I was 274 pounds. I'm 5'11", so I'm tall, but too much weight. And so I'm looking for an answer. And so I'm like, okay, let's see what this is about. And I watched the videos, and, I've seen the Arthur video before. Saw it again. See his, and if you don't know what the Arthur video is, just type DDP Yoga and Arthur. It's a gentleman that was in the military, did too many parachute jumps, and he can't walk anymore, and what DDP Yoga did for him. And I saw other videos, and then I started watching a lot of videos about his different meal plans and his different meals that he had set up with this. And I was like, this sounds pretty intriguing. I think this may actually work. And plus, the yoga to me was different than like a standard yoga. Like if I go to a yoga center and do yoga, that's not for me. You don't want to see me doing, I don't want to do tree posts and stand there for 30 seconds or 50 seconds or an hour or however. But his yoga was very active and very cardiovascular, and it's not even, well, he says, don't call it yoga, call it DDPY or DDP yoga. And so it started to relate more to me. I was like, maybe I could do that form of DDPY versus regular yoga. And so I also, well, before I say also, the day after Thanksgiving, I signed up for the program, and I went to Whole Foods, and I immediately started. I'll get more into my diet changes, but like I eat non-GMO. I already ate gluten-free, but now I'm really 100% gluten-free because I'm not getting any cross-contaminations from restaurants. I prepare all my food. And I bought Positively Unstoppable, The Art of Owning It, Diamond Dallas Page. And I've been reading that book for a while. A lot of times I pick it up when I'm taking my kids to soccer or swimming or whatever. And I'm near the end, but I need to finish it. And it just made amazing difference in my life. Both the DDPY and the diet. I'm sure the diet is the strongest component, but it made the diet more realistic for me. It wasn't overwhelming like it was with the Tom Brady. And I will show you, like right here in this book, there's the Tom Brady diet grocery list. And you start looking at this, and it's like, okay, avoid commercially raised beef and poultry, cured meat and ham, farm-raised fish, processed lunch meats, processed meats such as bacon, sausage, pepperoni, hot dogs. Okay, when you're eating like a gluten-free pepperoni pizza and you're eating, you know, a cheeseburger from Wendy's without a bun, and you're eating lunch meat, like you're making gluten-free lunch meat sandwiches with lunch meat, like every lunch, if I don't eat out. And, you start reading, okay, you got to eat all these vegetables, and they start with like artichokes and bok choy and asparagus and bean sprouts and all this stuff. You're like, I don't want to know. And so it was overwhelming to me. And then having it in front of my face, was overwhelming to me. But now that I look at that list, I think, wow, that is a really good list. And I should have followed this 2 years ago when I bought this book or whenever it was, But the DDPY made the transition different, and it made it work for me. And so I could appreciate this book a lot more now, and I'm revisiting it. But if you want to keep it simple, stupid, and find somebody you can relate to, like Diamond Dallas Page, he's got a lot of money, but he's very down to earth. He seems to talk to everybody. He's very talkative. He doesn't seem unapproachable. If I saw Tom Brady, I just, like, if I was a huge fan, I don't know if I'd be able to go talk to him. It's just, he's Tom Brady, So that's the difference for me. I don't know. Everybody has things that work for them. I'm going to get into more of what's working for me, how it's working, if this channel, and hopefully I can inspire others. I joined the DDPY 2020 Positively Unstoppable Challenge, and so I'll be talking about that in upcoming videos. I'm going to try to do a video every week now. It's been a while since I've done this channel. I really miss making videos, and I look forward to talking to all of you, sharing things like food that I've made, what my progress is, and where I'm going with it. I mentioned I was 274 pounds. I'm around 255 pounds now, so I lost about 20 pounds doing this, and I'm gonna, I'm gonna lose more. I think you can tell my face just looking at it, but I don't know. I feel like I've lost more because my legs aren't rubbing together when I walk. I feel this strength in my hands I've never really felt before. I got strength in my shoulders, so it's just different. It's things I never realized there could be. And so I'm just really excited about life. Whereas before, it's just like I wouldn't say I was depressed, but I wasn't enthusiastic to live. So please like and subscribe. I look forward to seeing you in the next one, and we'll see ya.